Hello, everybody, and welcome to Friday Apocryphal Podcast, your one-stop shop for everything Friday Apocryphal and podcast. And boy, do we have a show for you today. Today we are covering the Testament of Moses,
chapters 1 through 5.
Yep.
That's pretty good.
Now, I done rightly reckon that we're going to be reading the Testament of Moses, but I don't have a book. Well, I have a book. I have the Holy Bible.
In that case, you have many books.
You know, really, I'm surrounded by books.
Yeah.
I mean, it's actually like there's books here, there's books
Can I zoom out?
here, there's books.
I'll zoom back in.
Can you zoom out?
Just by going over there.
Oh, going over there?
Sure.
I mean, I feel like it's going to be all bad if you try to zoom back in.
He's a cameraman. He can do the camera.
I guess.
Okay.
I've seen him do camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen him do camera.
Yeah. But there are a lot of books on this table. Yeah, they're everywhere. Actually, the table's a lot bigger than I thought it was. So, hello, goodbye.
Green screen's a lot bigger than I thought it was.
Also, yes. I usually try to line up this part with the thing.
Yeah, that's about where it was.
Okay. Anyways, yeah, a lot of books, but we also have badges.
Badges.
Yeah.
What kind of badges?
Well, you see, if you are a channel member for however many months, you get better and better badges. So here is what you can be in store for. So yeah, you can pop them up.
Hello.
Yeah, but I think
so high up that it's covering everything other than.
Well, I know it was covering everything. Yeah, like it's the top layer.
Why would you do this to me?
What, I mean, what? I don't know. It's on the top of everything. If I want it up front.
Oh, fine.
Yeah.
Here, I can move it down in a second.
Yeah. Well, either way, that's what you have in store. You go from regular calves to a bronze one, to a silver one, to some golden ones, and then an ascended one.
Yes.
How dope is that?
Pretty epic.
Yeah, right.
I've been hyping it for a while. I think it actually isn't like that one alchemy video. It's actually worth the hype.
Look, the alchemy video was excellent.
It was amazing.
It was perfect.
Right.
And we really did turn silver into gold.
Yep.
With our mystery box that we can't tell you how it works.
No, we can't tell you how it worked. No, that would be against the code of Hammurabi, probably. So
it violates the chain of Hermes. Wait, no, whatever. Yep, chain of Hermes. That's what we're going with.
Wow, yeah, the chain of Hermes. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, how about we start the Testament of Moses?
Yeah, why not?
Shall we?
Now, we've read some testaments so far. And let me tell you, every time that we have a testament where it's like someone's name, it's better than the Bible version of the story
Usually,
that had
yeah.
them in
Yeah,
it.
it's like that plus.
Now,
It's the same story, but it adds all the parts that were scrubbed out by other people.
Well, yeah, scrubbed out. But it adds parts that are very interesting.
Who knows if they have canon, like, worth note stuff?
I mean, at some point in time, maybe they did with somebody.
You know what I mean, though? Like, they have things that interact with canon.
Oh, yeah, definitely. This one especially is going to have some stuff. It has a lot of interactions with Jude, I think.
Not that it's supposed to, according to canon, but
Right,
hey.
yeah. At least I think it's Jude. It might be a different.
and it
epistle.
predates. No, it would post-date.
No, I think they're from about the same time period.
Yeah.
It's hard to say on that
Oh,
one
maybe the
specifically.
authors were contemporaries who knew each other.
Yeah, maybe.
Incredible.
Maybe not.
I
don't
mean,
know.
look, okay, we live in a time where Christianity is people like perspective philosophy, but it's also like Eric, and it's also Brother Jed.
Yeah, Brother Jed.
Okay, these
This
are
guy's
very
crazy.
disparate things. It's feasible that any one of these given people would encounter each other. You know, they're in the religious, social sphere.
Yeah.
Right. So you would figure that
Has to
if
depend
there was
on how.
anyone from one culture who would have a likelihood of encountering someone from another culture, it would be likely that it would be someone who is in a similar profession as that other person, like merchants who would often
might know other merchants.
Yeah. So I would assume that
Yes, authors hang out.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to.
I would assume that people would be aware of what's like going on in terms of like huge religious movements in the surrounding nations if they're like a priest or something.
Well, they would probably know, but only about the stuff that's going on in their
Eric,
tradition.
give it 2 years before you're an ascended calf.
I mean,
Yeah. The ascended calf.
It depends
one.
on what period of time we're talking about, because like right now, you should know about all the religious stuff that's going on worldwide. If like that's your area, like, why wouldn't you? The information is readily available.
It is really available, but like the modern world is so much more boring.
No, the modern world's a lot more exciting because the stuff that you see in the Bible,
Fast-paced, action, Bible stuff.
Yeah, like this is the thing, man. The Bible will have some crazy shit, right? Like, go into this town and slaughter all of the men and keep all of the virgin baby girls to yourselves for trophy wives.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that in Blasphemous Bible soon.
Good. It's horrendous.
Yeah.
But but in the modern world, there are people out there who are really doing that stuff. Like,
True.
There are really incidents where, like, you know, religious buildings will get raided by some other religious group. Like, it's really happening. It's like active, man.
Yeah.
So you get brand new Bible level stories every day, every week. You have people who are like getting bit by snakes because they're trying to. That's something that could be in the Bible, man. That should be in the Bible. When we write our updated version.
Yes.
Our newer New Testament.
Our newer New Testament.
Okay. Here's our newer New Testament, right?
Okay.
It starts off with a scene where there's a preacher who's like trying to talk to a snake and get it to do something.
Sure. Okay.
And then it just bites him right in the eye.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
Because they have the whole part about that, the snake handling thing. It's in it's in the longer ending of Mark.
It is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
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 About like you can handle snakes and it won't bite you.
Yeah.
That's why there's like I forget which sect it is, but they have a sect that's specifically like a bunch of Christian snake handlers.
Right. Yes, I remember.
Yeah.
It was in the longer ending of Mark, but that's not how our newer like. It doesn't matter if a newer testament contradicts an older one.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
We realize this at this point.
Yeah.
You can contradict the Old Testament as much as you want.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can just get rid of all this stuff, but have something that's vaguely similar.
Make another covenant.
Another covenant.
Third covenant.
We need
Say
to
that
make
it
another
supersedes Jesus' one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Third covenant.
Yeah.
Basically, Jesus had a younger brother, and Jesus' younger brother is like way better at everything than like Jesus is just like kind of like this jock character that's going around. Jesus' younger brother's actually got it figured out. He's like astral projecting through the Hecalo realms in order to hang out with Metatron and stuff.
Didn't we write this? Or we
no,
almost did.
no. We were writing a different sitcom.
Yeah.
We need to change those Patreon goals.
We really do, because I do like the show idea, but there's
we
no.
haven't had our break yet. That'll be in October. We'll do all the updates to everything.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. But either way, Testament of Moses time. So yeah, it's a farewell address from Moses to Joshua, who for a long time was thought to have like written like the last section of Deuteronomy where Moses dies.
Right, because obviously Moses can't write that he dies.
No,
unless he's prophetic.
Right, which there was one. I forget which rabbi it was, but like one of like the early Jewish commentators, maybe he wasn't even a rabbi. It says that he wrote it, but he was crying. So yeah, I think there's one commentator who says that, and then like everyone else that I remember has said it's totally Joshua because he wrote the next thing. See, real man, they just loved pulling that one out.
And I watched a debate the other day.
Why?
Another Iron Rod debate.
Oh no.
With some Christian, and the Christian literally took the position that like, hey, John's name is on the book. He wrote it.
Wow, that's really bad.
The entire, textual tradition says that John wrote it. the church fathers, who are the most reliable ancient sources that we have.
Is there any chance?
By the way, the church fathers,
they also disagree with authorship a
they
lot.
No, they don't. They were directly connected with the apostles. They were
Is
like
what they said. Yes,
like personal best friends.
They got like their information from people who knew apostles. Like it goes a few different ways.
And so you have to trust them that the author is John. And all scholars agree, and even Bart Ehrman agrees.
With which part that John?
It was some ridiculous bullshit like that.
Was this the same guy?
He literally brought up Bart Ehrman.
Was this the same
agreed
guy
with his position?
That was he arguing for Matthew first?
I don't know if he was arguing about a specific order. What I saw was that he was arguing that all of the authors were the people who the book said that they were.
Right, yeah.
And that the most reliable scholarship that we have is the earliest scholarship that we have that demonstrates that the traditional account of the Bible is true.
So many of them doubted the authorship and authenticity of some of these books.
Well, it's almost
they're everywhere.
Like he didn't read them.
No, he didn't. Anyways,
that's life.
Yep.
What do you think about the claim that all the church fathers personally knew the apostles?
Bullshit. Anyways,
wow.
So the text of the Testament of Moses.
Say that about people who think they have a close personal relationship with anyone.
Is that what they're talking about?
Dog?
A close personal relationship
with Jesus,
like with
God,
Jesus,
right?
Whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, there was a girl in our high school. I think her name was like Mary or something.
Okay,
she had a
of course
sister.
It was.
She was in like your grade, and
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
My grade, 2 grades.
Yeah, and she had a sister who was younger than her. They were both
I remember
like
Mary.
super Christian.
I barely talked to her.
Super.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they hung out with like Dallas.
Oh,
Didn't Dallas become an atheist?
that's what I keep hearing, but I don't know if it's Dan just being Dan and making shit up.
I think that would be hilarious. So Dallas was like the most hardcore missionary.
Yes,
like,
he was.
So he literally posted up flyers around our school on the lockers that were like anti-abortion.
He gave me a Bible that Chris ate. And
Yeah,
he bit
took
part
all
of it, but
those down. I was wondering who put them up. I'm at school just at random hours. Like my bus would be the first one to actually get to school.
Well, of course.
And so me not giving 2 fucks about being on a security camera at the time, going, oh, whatever, I'll just take all these down. These are they're anti-abortion. And I was like, women's rights, fuck this, and I threw them out. I picked them up off the locker and I threw them out.
I think maybe his first, I don't know if he is actually an atheist now, because this is something that a mutual friend keeps saying, but I'm like, when was the last time you've ever had an interaction with him? And he never answers that question. So I don't know the veracity of that claim. So
yeah,
but let's say he did. I think that one moment we were in like some social studies class, and he was of course doing his like final project on like some church stuff, but he was doing it on like a mega church. And then during research for this project, he looked at me at the time being an atheist. He looked at me and he was like, I don't blame you for being an atheist. This shit's crazy. Like they're con, like he was like, these mega church pastors are obviously con artists. So he's like, I don't blame you for hating religion. And I'm like, all right, thanks.
Man, okay. So during the abortion thing, they posted these flyers everywhere. They put one on my locker. So I took it off of my locker.
Yeah.
I drew all over it. I wrote.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Like, instead, it was like anti-abortion. I was like, cross that out. Pro-abortion.
Dude,
That's where
right?
that came from.
This is literally the same era. I saw that and didn't throw yours out. I remember this.
I remember
Man, it's all coming back to me.
And
that's
I drew like a bunch of little monsters
good
around
story.
the
I was
baby
such
that
a
were trying to
dipshit in
eat
high
it.
school.
And I taped it on my shirt.
Yeah.
And I walked around like that. So Depew, the principal, He pulled me aside. They pulled me into the office, and they were like, "You can't be walking around with that. That goes against the school code."
Oh, does it now?
Does it? Because this was just posted on my locker without my permission or foreknowledge, and all I've done is make a small adjustment to it and put it on my shirt instead of on my locker. Now you allowed one, you got to allow the other.
Yeah.
They did allow it.
Yep.
Right?
Right.
Because they had no argument, and I told them that my uncle was a lawyer. And
Wow.
so then Dallas pulls me aside, and he like very solemnly looks at me. He's like, "You're taking away people's hope."
Taking away people's hope?
Yeah, that's what he said to me. He said, "I'm taking away people's hope."
I'm going to be straight. You got to have your own hope, and I'm going to rob you from all your fake external hope if I can, because it's all fake to me anyways. That's just how I was in high school.
That's such a weird response from him, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Like absurd.
Okay. Anyways, I don't know what's going on with.
I don't know.
Anyways, we're in the Testament of Moses.
Now this is generate their own hope.
This is about Moses. It's a testament. What you got for me,
All right,
Lawrence?
so the text. The sole extant copy of our text is a Latin palimpsest discovered by A.M. Sereni in the Ambrosian Library in Milan in 1861.
Can you tell me about the Ambrosian Library in
No,
Milan?
probably not. But it dates from the 6th century. Oh, so it dates from the 6th century, but the style and orthography indicate the original Latin text is about a century earlier. So the preserved text is clearly incomplete, unfortunately. But so if anyone doesn't know, a palimpsest is essentially when someone writes a manuscript, a person later who has access to that manuscript can like erase it and write over it, or like scrape off the ink and write over it.
Oh.
And yeah, that's a palimpsest. So a lot of books have been written that way. They've been like, Archimedes, for example. Yeah. His work was scraped away, and then I think like some Christian hymn was written over it. But yeah, that's what a palimpsest is. So that's how it exists.
The Biblioteca Ambrosiana, Ambrosian Library.
Yes.
Historic library in Milan, Italy. Also housing the Pinacoteca Ambrosiana, the Ambrosian Art Gallery. Named after Ambrose, the patron saint of Milan, it was founded in 1609 by Cardinal Federico Borromeo, whose agents scoured Western Europe and even Greece and Syria for books and manuscripts. Some major acquisitions of complete libraries were the manuscripts of the Benedictine Monastery of Bobbio and the Library of Paduan Vincenzo Pinelli, whose more than 800 manuscripts filled 70 cases when they were sent to Milan, and included the famous Iliad, the Ilias Picta. So, big library, kind of around the Reformation, established, got a lot of different manuscripts in there. I'm sure that Lawrence would love to live there.
That'd be, it's interesting to look through all that stuff. But anyways, so original language. It was apparent to the first editors of the text that the Latin was translated from Greek. A few Greek words appear as transliterations. Certain syntactical constructions clearly reflect a Greek background, and some difficult passages may be clarified by reconstructing the Greek that underlies the Latin. Most of the first editors and translators assumed that the original language was indeed Greek. Further investigation, however, indicates that the Greek itself was, in all probability, a translation of a Semitic original. This view is almost universally accepted today, but there remains a question as to whether the original was Aramaic or Hebrew. Certainty is not possible, but the balance of probability leans towards Hebrew. That the text is a translation of a translation further complicates the problem for modern translators, as will be indicated in some of the notes. So that's what we're dealing with. A Latin text that's a translation of a translation.
Okay.
Hot dog.
Yeah, right.
You know, the last text we read was a Coptic text that may have been a translation of a translation.
True. Yeah.
By the way, we looked more into the Apocalypse of Adam.
Right. Yeah.
And
I
there's
added,
no scholarly consensus about these kingdoms that are brought up.
So how about we make one?
Yeah, let's make one. There were two that were positively identified by scholars. I forget the exact details of them. I have to look at the paper.
Yeah.
But there were up to 5 others, which could be references to Mithras, or could not be.
Yeah,
Right.
one of them still really reminded me of something in Metamorphosis, and I'm not sure what. Was it the story of Actaeon?
I swear that that one bit was about Persephone. It had to have been. There wasn't anything else that I could think of that was similar. It wasn't even like the Inanna story, right? It's definitely a Persephone story.
Sure.
But we're not talking about that.
Right.
We're talking about this new book.
Yeah. So the date. So dates range.
Literally newer. It's in Latin.
Right. Yeah. But it would have to be first century CE is what they're really looking at here. But there are widely differing estimates. They can be classified into 3 broad categories. In the first half of the 2nd century CE, most likely in the period just following the war of 132 through 135. Or during the period of the Maccabean Revolt, or perhaps
Is that the?
I saw.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Brilliant. I love it. Well done.
Interesting.
All right.
So are they talking about the dating of the manuscript or of
the actual
reported
text.
original?
Yeah,
okay.
the original. Yeah. So during the period of the Maccabean Revolt, so earlier, and in the 1st century before the fall of Jerusalem, and most likely during the first 3 decades of that century. The first option has been vigorously argued by Zeitlin, but though many of his arguments deserve careful attention, they fail to carry conviction as a whole. The second option has most recently been proposed by Licht and adopted, especially by Nickelsburg. And we have talked about, we've cited Nickelsburg a bunch on this show, especially when it comes to Enochian literature. And yes, it is Jacob Licht. So two really smart people, well-established people also, dating it to the period of the Maccabean Revolt. The thrust of Licht's argument rests on his theological interpretation of the role of taxo in chapter 9 and of the eschatological hymn in chapter 10. Nickelsburg accepts this position but develops more intricate arguments for the Maccabean dating. He bases his position on a form-critical analysis of the document as a whole, and the apparent descriptions of the persecutions of Antiochus Epiphanes in chapter 8. Might be another Daniel situation is what they're essentially arguing for. Mm-hmm. The arguments for a date in the 1st century before the fall of Jerusalem, before the fall of the temple, were stated in their fullest form by R.H. Charles, who, honestly, not so hot on R.H. Charles. But his main points were that the date must be before 70 while the temple's still standing, and after 4 BCE since Herod is already dead. So that's something. And he cites, we'll get to that next week, I think. But I think it is generally accepted that it falls into the 1st century CE. That's the general, that's what people think. But we'll see. We'll talk about, while we go through it, we'll talk about potential historical references and theological views of the time, especially noting the Jewish apocalypticism that was rampant in that period. But one of the big questions, we were talking about this earlier, is the relation to the canonical books.
Yes.
Now, of course, the biggest one is, of course, it's noted here first, Deuteronomy. No shit. Of course, that's going to be the biggest one.
Obviously.
You're talking about Moses and Joshua. It's going to be Deuteronomy. But as to the less obvious ones, the less necessary ones, I would say, it's some influence by the Testament of Moses on a number of New Testament passages has been suggested. Those most often cited are Jude 9, 12 through 13 and 16, 2 Peter 2:13, Acts, like the ending of Acts 7, and Matthew 24, 19 through 21. Jude 9 refers to the story of the dispute between Michael and Satan for the body of Moses, an account that does not appear in our text. That the episode was contained in the lost ending of the Testament of Moses, or in a cognate work properly called The Assumption of Moses, is possible, but our present information does not warrant any positive conclusion. Jude 12 through 13 utilizes nature metaphors reminiscent of the Testament of Moses, and Jude 16 describes opponents in language similar to a number of passages in our document. In both instances, however, the contexts are quite different. But those are generally more New Testament parallels.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff very similar to Daniel, as has been noted. Because if it's coming from let's say it's from the Maccabean period, then it would make perfect sense that it would be very similar to Daniel, because that's the time that Daniel was written as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But either way, so those are the main points. We will be able to note parallels a whole bunch just going through this. Wait, hold on. What's this? Serrani identified the present manuscript as the Assumption of Moses on the basis of a passage from the Acts of the Council of Nicaea that appeared to cite 114 and perhaps parts of 1:6 and 1:9 as quote, having been written in the book of the Assumption of Moses. Later on, the same text spoke of the struggle between Michael and the devil. What the hell? Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah. Apocryphal works associated with the name of Moses are mentioned frequently. Precise identification is often difficult or impossible. Particular interest, however, are those references that speak of both an assumption of Moses and a testament of Moses. Okay. Both are mentioned in some lists of non-canonical books, and the former is specifically named in some early Greek and Latin writings. Other writings, though not specifically naming a source, cite material that would be appropriate to a work describing the death and assumption of Moses. Okay. So, yeah, apparently that's interesting. Some relation there to the Acts of the Council of Nicaea. Okay. Fun stuff. And that looks like that's in Fragmenta from a scholar named Dennis, I guess.
All right.
Yeah. But that was, I just saw the thing on Nicaea, and I was like, oh, that should be interesting to read out. But here is the Testament of Moses for you.
Yeah, so let's get into it. Are you sure it's the Testament of Moses?
Nope.
Or
is this the
perhaps
Assumption of
the
Moses?
Assumption, right? Perhaps.
But there could be a different Assumption of Moses.
Might be an entirely
But there
different
could be a
work.
different Testament of Moses.
Well, yeah, because translation of... Well, this is a translation of a translation of a translation of a translation.
I'm saying is, if there's a Testament of Moses and an Assumption of Moses, and we don't know if this is the Assumption or the Testament of Moses, then the other one could very well be the Assumption or the Testament of Moses.
Yes.
And so, okay, wonderful. Great.
Love it.
Hey, can you
So the way that this book
can you
starts,
confirm something for me, Ruben?
Yeah.
Unagi's comment right under Tomer's. Can you confirm if that is true or false?
Does your wife like your boobs?
Yeah. Does she?
I don't know if she's ever said anything about that ever.
Wow.
So
It's probably not then, unfortunately. Well.
As much as I like the fact that it's part of you and you are not incomplete.
Wow. That's the best compliment Chris can ever give.
Is it?
Listen,
No.
you're not missing anything. You're not incomplete.
anyways, the way that this starts is hilarious. The first 3 lines of text are missing. There was probably some reference to the year of Moses' life when he delivered the farewell speech to Joshua. See for reference Deuteronomy 31:2 32 or 34:7,
Sure.
which I'm assuming are going to just be references to Moses speaking to Joshua.
Sure. We probably need to move this camera down.
Oh, good God. That
yeah.
one really is
Yeah.
something else.
We'll have to switch it up next time. No, switch up like the tripod? Yeah, I'm talking about the tripod switching. Like that we'll do for a different day. Yeah, we'll do that for a different day. But either way, yeah, that was the camera was really low down. I don't know if you saw it, Ruben. You were
I
like
didn't see it.
You were like just hovering over the bottom of the screen. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, kind of wild.
You're fine.
But everything's good now.
If I like stretch up, I can feel the whole
Everything's
thing.
good now.
Yeah. But anyways. Dot.
Textual break.
Yeah, textual break. Ancient sources give various dates for Moses' death. If the scheme used by the Testament of Moses were known, it might help date the composition of the book, but this is not the case. The reference to an Oriental chronology, probably another dating system known to the author, is too broken to be reconstructed.
Oof.
So, which is 2,500 years after the creation of the world. But according to an Oriental chronology,
Oh.
after the departure from Phoenicia, wait.
So it ends with after the departure from Phoenicia, right?
Yeah. When after the Exodus, which had been led by Moses, the people had gone up to Ammon across the Jordan. This is the prophecy which was made by Moses in the book of Deuteronomy.
All right.
Okay. So led could be translated as given also.
Well, okay. Yeah.
Moses, here this is literally who, but they're referring
Right. Referring to Moses, sure.
Yeah.
A reflexive pronoun.
Yes. Moses called to himself Joshua, the son of Nun, a man approved by the Lord, Deuteronomy 31:7, that Joshua might become the minister for the people in the tent of testimony, which contained all the holy objects, and that he might lead the people into the land which had been promised to their fathers, the land which he in the tent had declared by the covenant and oath that he would give them through the leadership of Joshua. So there's a bunch of footnotes here.
Right, and a long-ass sentence.
So here he's named Moses' successor.
Yeah,
It's
classic.
been suggested that Greek diadokos is underlining. Septuagint uses the word for chief minister in 1 Chronicles, 2 Chronicles, and Sirach. Sirach's in Septuagint? In our?
Is it in the Septuagint? It might be in other versions of the
It
Septuagint.
says it's in Septuagint.
Well, this one has Septuagint with Apocryphal, right?
Mhm.
So
It should have Sirach, right?
that would make sense, yeah.
I don't think we used the Septuagint when we were reading Sirach.
No, we didn't. We didn't have it. Let's see. I know.
Ecclesiasticus.
Right. Yeah, I don't. It is not in here. Yeah, unfortunately not in here. But
Why?
hold on. Actually, this might just be. They might have like
A separate section.
a separate section at the end. Yep, here it is. Yep.
Yep. They just throw it all in at the end.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see if they have Sirach.
Yes, they do.
Okay. We should have used it. Well, we might not.
I
have
didn't
had
think
it.
we had these.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Did I
Unfortunately.
even know Greek back then?
No, you just got the Septuagint without knowing Greek because we wanted to reference in the English translation.
Oh, sure.
if
Okay,
there
gotcha.
Yep.
I mean, either way, you learn the Greek.
Eventually,
It's not
yeah.
all Greek now. Dear.
Like eventually you're gonna have to learn Hebrew
Yeah, I know.
and
Unfortunately.
Ugaritic,
Ugaritic, probably Arabic too.
Akkadian.
Akkadian. Maybe I have been learning a little bit of Amharic.
Amharic.
Yeah.
We're in Amhar.
It's the Ethiopian language.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's
Not Ge'ez, but
no, but Ge'ez is based on Amharic.
okay.
And Lawrence's hair, brilliant. Man, this chat is dope.
Wow.
You guys are really doing a good job today.
I wonder if that is Dan.
No.
I feel
it's definitely our fans.
Yeah. It's probably Eric.
Probably.
Not
I'm
Dan.
guessing it's Eric.
Dan's
Eric?
freaking lazy.
Yeah.
Pen guy?
No. This Eric. Not Pen Guy.
Imagine.
That'd be wild though.
That would be hilarious if Pen guy was out there.
And he had made accounts called Lawrence's hair and Ruben's boobies.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be funny if the creationist on campus was doing that. Yes.
Yep. Anyways, we're talking about Joshua here. And this guy, and declared by covenant and oath, would give them through the leadership of Joshua. Then Moses spoke to Joshua this word: Go forward with all your strength, that you may do everything which has been commanded in such a way as will cause you no blame in the sight of God. For this is what the Lord of the world has decreed. He created the world on behalf of his people, but he did not make this purpose of creation openly known from the beginning of the world, so that the nations might be found guilty. Indeed, that they might abjectly declare themselves guilty by their own mistaken discussions of creation's purpose.
This is very determinist. He's essentially saying that the reason for the universe's creation wasn't revealed because he wanted the opposing nations to essentially be guilty.
This is okay. There's
What
a
a
lot
dick.
of weird stuff going on.
That's what it sounded like.
No, he says outright, he created the world on behalf of his people,
Yeah.
the Jews, right? But he didn't make this purpose openly known from the beginning of the world so that the nations might be found guilty.
Right.
But not because they're doing anything specifically wrong. It's because...
He wants them to be guilty?
No, it's because they declare themselves guilty by discussing creation's purpose.
Oh, okay. Weird one. All right.
I mean, I think that basically it's like a heavily tribalistic, like, chosen people narrative.
Yeah,
type
like
thing.
you have no place to talk about the creation of these things or the purpose of these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like not just that they have no place, but that they're doing something wrong by even trying, because that's not for them.
Right, yeah. Classic. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. Awful. But he did design and devise me, who was prepared from the beginning of the world to be the mediator of his covenant. Okay, so now here Moses is taking on this like Christ-like position, right? It's the preeminent Moses. It's literally the preeminent Moses.
Yeah.
Right?
He's there to hold that position, which, by the way, would line up with God, what was that? It was at the end of which gospel where Moses appears, and was it Samuel? No, it wasn't Samuel, was it? Did Samuel and Moses appear? Was it to Jesus? Or with Jesus? Was that during the Transfiguration?
During the Transfiguration, yeah.
Yeah, was that Samuel and Moses?
I don't think it was Samuel. I think that you're
was it?
thinking of the Witch of Endor.
Okay, so right, yeah. So who rose with Moses?
Rose with
Or
Moses.
who appeared with Moses?
I thought it was one of the other patriarchs.
I don't remember. I feel like it was. Oh man, I could swear it was Samuel. Okay, whatever. That's fine. Maybe I am just mixing that up with the Witch of Endor. All right.
Okay. Anyways, yeah, preeminent Moses here. Therefore, I shall speak plainly to you. The years of my life have come to an end, and in the presence of the entire community, I am going to sleep with my fathers.
And by that he means die.
Yeah, he means
he means die.
the biblical.
Don't ban us, YouTube.
So there is something interesting here, right? He says in the presence of the entire community, but the biblical account of Moses' death, Deuteronomy 34:5-8, states that no one witnessed the death. Later Jewish traditions.
He was on a mountain there.
Yeah. Later traditions divided on the matter. Some writings assert that Joshua and Caleb were present, while others affirm that Moses didn't die at all.
Classic.
Mm-hmm. Right. Enoch. Preeminent Moses Enoch here.
Yep.
Is that what we're going to get? No, probably not. But you take this writing so that later you will remember how to preserve the books which I shall entrust to you. You shall arrange them, anoint them with cedar, deposit them in earthenware jars in the place which God has chosen from the beginning of the creation of the world, a place where his name may be called upon until the day of recompense when the Lord will surely have regard for his people. This is literally so that his name may be called upon until the day of recompense or repentance, with regard to which the Lord will regard them in the consummation of the end days. This is a clear attempt to render it literally a Semitic original.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
That's an interesting tradition there. So they're saying that their holy texts would be preserved at the end times in these jars.
You know what this sounds like?
Come on.
Nakamati.
No, not was that? I don't.
Yeah, they found it.
Nakamati in a jar.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. That's right. Yeah, it was. But it would be
in one
many.
jar.
It would be many though.
It'd be many,
right?
but like, listen to how he describes it.
But the
right?
thing is, that could be. But the thing is, how many places were found like that, right? So
yeah, they find it like this because this is how they do it, right? This is how you take the books, you put some kind of ointment on them. Thanks.
Oh, thank you so much, Reuben's boobies. Behold, indeed.
Mm-hmm. Behold.
Yeah, behold Reuben's boobies.
So what they're describing here, they basically take a jar, right? And they take whatever text they have. They give it some kind of treatment. Here they say with cedar. They say anoint them with cedar. I assume that this is like they're talking about tablets, right? So they're talking about basically making a resin around the tablet.
Well, at this time, it wouldn't have been tablets necessarily.
It wouldn't be tablets?
No, because they're writing on like papyrus and like scrolls or parchment at this point.
Right.
Yeah, so it wouldn't.
But in the story, would they be referring to tablets? Because Moses is
in the story,
tablets,
that's right. Yeah, in the story, he might be referring to the tablets,
and
right.
he's being told, you'll remember how to preserve the books that I shall entrust to you. Mm-hmm. He's referring to the Torah, right? He's talking about the books I'm about to entrust to you.
Yeah.
So I think what they're talking about is a literal process of anointing some kind of sap or something onto...
to preserve it to preserve it.
Yeah, to make it so that it's
basically glaze it.
Yeah, glaze it.
Yeah.
And then they bury it, right?
Right, yeah.
They put it in jars and they bury it.
It's going to stay around for a long time.
Mm-hmm. But that's the end of the first chapter.
Yeah, so let's hop into...
Don't you hop into the second?
We'll do.
Down there.
Yeah. So eventually...
And I'm going to grab myself a little more coffee. So
okay, sure, you can do that.
While I do that, why don't you talk about...
this textual break here? I'm going to talk about this textual break. So yeah, in chapter 2, it begins with another textual break. And the note here says the lacuna of 4 to 7 letters is often restored with "and now" or "behold now." So you know what? I may have coughed a little bit in the middle of that, but let's go with the reading "behold now." So Behold! Okay, I heard Chris say it. Ruben didn't say it. Okay, chat, I'm going to need you to say behold, because like I'm alone. Anyways, gonna continue with the reading here. Also, yeah, make sure if you're a member, make sure you comment because you want to see how far your membership is along the line of new emotes. April, were you here when we did the emote the badge reveal? Because they look pretty dope, especially the 2-year one. So once we get to that point, yeah, you were there. Okay, cool. Really good stuff. I want to know what everyone has. So, on with the reading.
What did I miss?
Now we're in chapter 2. Nothing. I talked about behold.
Behold!
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so here's my pitch. All right, these badges that we have, we're gonna use them as icons in the fighting game.
As icons? Okay, sure.
Mm-hmm. And the only characters in the game are gonna be the 3 of us. But if you beat the game as Chris, you unlock Landon.
Okay,
If you beat the game as me, you unlock the golden calf. And if you beat the game as you unlock Buzzy Bee.
Oh, okay, that's fun.
Yeah.
And if you beat the game with all 6 characters, then you get an achievement. I don't know. Feel good about it.
If you beat the game with all 6 characters, then I don't know.
You get the golden skins.
You get Arn Raw.
Wow.
And if you beat the game with Arn Raw, I don't know. I'm just
The game installs
we
itself.
could
You lose everything.
we could put in DLC, right?
that's true. You do DLCs.
So here's the thing, right?
Ruben's been talking about this for a while.
I've been talking about this for a while. All you got to do is use the Mugen engine. You have somebody put together a WMV for an intro. You have someone design like the basically menu, the character select screen, and then all you need is the individual sprites, and you can set up all the hitbox data pretty easily from there. And I mean, balancing is a pretty manual thing. Like you're gonna have to like, okay, let's set this to 90, try it out.
Yeah,
that's too much.
Yeah, a lot of trial and error.
Yeah, but it's not really a difficult process to make a fighting game in the Mugen engine.
But it is difficult to have all of your animations do attacks and hitboxes in the opposite direction of what you are pointing at.
Yeah, that would be really annoying.
God, that's why I wanted to be a hidden character. You should just have Buzzy Bee as a normal character. Make me a hidden character.
Yeah, Buzzy Bee as any character is a good idea.
I am human.
Yeah, but let's continue on this reading.
Yep.
The people under your leadership will enter into the land which God firmly promised to give to their fathers. In that land, you will bless them and give to each of them their individual portions. Further, you shall firmly establish a kingdom for them, and with discernment and justice, you shall appoint local magistrates in accordance with the will of the Lord. Then, some years after they shall have entered the land, they shall be ruled by leaders and princes for 18 years. But during a period of 19 years, the 10 tribes will separate themselves. References are to the 15 judges, the 3 kings of the United Monarchy, and the 19 kings of the Northern Kingdom. So, definitely not in years, but
it's almost as if
they're okay. So they're treating each reign. So they are treating each reign as a year, which is very similar to yeah, like I mean, no, it's not even similar to other dating methods. But I understand this dating method because you can say like in such and such year, but you could say that with a king's reign. So in such and such king's reign.
So for some reason, I expected it to end with, and you can find all of these detailed in the book of the Chronicles of the Kings.
That would be great. Oh my God. We'd pop for that. During the first mentioned time, the 12 tribes will move the tent of testimony to the place where the God of heaven will build a place for his sanctuary. So Jerusalem, probably. But it looks like that's a very difficult to translate Latin phrase, but that's the idea of it. The Latin phrase? So up here it looks like, right there. I mean, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce it. So, but it says that it's hardly translatable, but it looks like that's just the general sense.
Yeah, I don't really know much about Latin, but I do know that usually you determine what something means based off of like the conjugations that are involved, right?
Sure. Either way, apparently hard to translate that one. The 2 holy tribes will be settled there.
And, I don't know how Greek works when it comes to this. The way that Latin works, the word order does not matter at all.
Yeah, that's the same with Greek. It's mostly the same with Greek. There are some like conventions that people have stuck to, but it doesn't actually matter. Mm-hmm. So you can throw them together in any way. There are some when you're using 2 genitives, like you can like throw like one pair in the middle of another pair, so you know that the middle pair modifies the outer pair. Mm-hmm. But that's a convention that you don't need to uphold. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So continuing on. So the 2 holy tribes will be settled there, but the 10 tribes will establish for themselves their own kingdom with its own ordinances. The 2 tribes will offer sacrifices in the chosen place for 20 years. 7 will strongly build the walls, and I will protect 9. 4, however, will violate the covenant of the Lord and defile the oath which the Lord made with them. It looks like this would be, there are 3 textual problems in this verse, though only the first is important for interpretation. The verb here translated protect indicates a positive attitude towards the second grouping of Judean monarchs. But translated beset or besiege, but translated beset or besiege it would connote a negative attitude. The final number 4 is not in the text, but is supplied to bring the total to 20, as in the previous verse. Finally, the Latin here translated oath is phinem, and aim or purpose. Oath is used because of the close connection between covenant and oath elsewhere. They will offer their sons to foreign gods, and they will set up idols in the temple that they may worship themselves. Yes, even in the house of the Lord, they will perpetuate idolatry and carve images of all sorts of animals.
Strange.
Lots of stuff here. So, of course,
strange that there would be any reference to the house of the Lord when the only thing that we have that's any vaguely close to it is a tent that gets taken.
They said that they're going to move it to the place that he will establish the sanctuary.
Yeah, but like that they would refer to the house of the Lord, right? The house of the Lord was built by Solomon, right?
Right, yeah.
And it's not even until David that it's even mentioned as a possibility, right? So it's post-Torah.
A prophecy. Well, prophecy, Ruben.
Well, it's a post-Torah piece, right? It doesn't make sense that Moses would know about it. He just got the Torah revealed to him, right?
Right.
He doesn't need to also have all of the Deuteronomistic history revealed to him, too.
I don't know. Why not Enoch?
For that, you'd have to read the books of the Chronicles of the Kings of Israel and Judah.
Yeah, Israel and Judah. Damn, man. We wish we had that.
All right, on to chapter 3. Once again, this one starts with a textual break.
Ah, jeez.
Yep. In those days, a king against them from the east and his cavalry will overrun their land. This reference is probably to the invasion of Nebuchadnezzar. And with the fire, he will burn their city. Literally colony, reflecting a date for the translation after 135 CE, as Jerusalem was made a Roman colony at that time. Interesting.
Blue steak.
So we can date. So we're translating the. They can date the translation time based on that. That is interesting.
We have a whole aside here in the chat.
The hell?
Blue
Something about
steak, also known as extra rare steak or blue rare steak, is a steak that is lightly seared on the outside, yet red on the inside. To achieve this, blue steak is cooked for a very short period of time. The result is a steak that is soft and tender, perfect for those that love that melt in your mouth texture.
Okay.
All right then. All right. If someone wants to, die of something, they could try that.
Look, people have eaten raw meat.
Yes.
They've been okay. It's not going to kill you. Usually.
It might.
It can.
It might.
It can.
Someone
But
else
historically, there have been people who have gotten away with it.
Yes, that is true.
You
probably
might
shouldn't.
be one of those people. Now, if you want to test that theory, that's on you.
Yes,
I don't advise it.
See, I
It's
agree.
not smart.
I agree with Sumami there. I also eat steaks medium. I don't have to spend so much energy ripping through tendons. I can just enjoy something and it's also not burnt. Yeah.
I think that you should get it burnt to a crisp, so it's like a hockey puck, and then dip it in steak sauce.
And be like, wow, this is the height of luxury.
This is a great steak, guys.
Yeah. Continuing on here, though. And with the fire, he will burn their city with the holy temple of the Lord, and he will carry off all the holy vessels. And he will exile all the people and will lead them to his own land. Yea, the 2 tribes he will take with him. Then, considering themselves like a lioness in a dusty plain, hungry and parched, the 2 tribes will call upon the 10 tribes and declare loudly, "Just and holy is the Lord. For just as you sinned, likewise we with our little ones have now been led out with you." Then, hearing the reproachful words of the 2 tribes, the 10 tribes will lament and will say, "What shall we with you do, brothers? Has not this tribulation come upon the whole house of Israel?" Then all the tribes will lament, crying out to heaven and saying, "God of Abraham, God of Isaac, and God of Jacob, remember your covenant which you made with them and the oath which you swore to them by yourself, that their seed would never fail from the land which you have given them." Before continuing on here, it says that, so the 10 tribes are the 2 tribes are getting help from the 10, it looks like. No, sorry, the 2 tribes will call upon the 10. Yeah. So interestingly there, so are there 10 tribes? No, wait, hold on. Wasn't there 10 tribes in Israel and 2 in Judah? Wasn't that it? Because I think there were a lot of tribes in Israel and then not that many in Judah.
I'm going to look it up.
Yeah. So that's interesting.
I don't remember the distribution of tribes.
Yeah, I think it was 2 in the south, 10 in the north. I mean, at least from what I remember. But you can feel free to look that up. So it's interesting that they're calling in help on that. Yeah, Judah had Judah and Benjamin. Okay. Yeah. So it was just those 2 in the south.
Mm-hmm.
And then the others in the north.
They had Benjamin and Judah, but the Benjamites were pretty derided.
The distribution's totally across. That's funny.
Yeah, the distributions across. This is preeminent Christ manifesting in the distribution of property.
Hold on. Do you know what? Okay. So, have you been keeping up with the Blasphemous Bible?
No.
No. Okay, that's fine. You probably shouldn't. So there is this guy P-Town.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. You know what? I watch.
Heard enough about him.
I watch your stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
When you're on a different channel.
Yeah.
I don't watch the podcasts that you do on different channels.
That's cool.
If you do like an interview, I want to make sure that you're not like, talking about all of Chris's health secrets. I don't know.
They're not secrets, but nobody gives a shit about them.
Nobody cares.
No. The thing is because B-Town has the whole idea of he's literally like while we're reading through, he's like, oh, Jesus is there. Oh, Jesus in here. We're still in the Old Testament. Yeah. Actually, we're still in the Torah, and he's all like pointing out where Jesus is.
Well, that's because they believe that. They believe that there's a preeminent Christ who is literally prior to the creation of the world is present, and that when it says that God spoke something, it's because they're referencing the word,
right,
logos.
Right. And like I've had to bring it up with them multiple times. Like you can't just keep reading it back into this, man. But anyways,
but I assume what he says, if you ever do confront him on it.
Yeah, I already have.
Oh well, I assume what he actually said in response is that your scholarship is insufficient because it doesn't consider the possibility of it being the case. Right?
I don't think he's ever said that exactly that way, but he has. He's like, it's not you're just not seeing the full picture.
Right, because
I don't care about the theological dimension.
Well, because you're supposed to look at the Bible holistically as a single unitary text.
Yeah, something, a mistake. Yeah.
Yeah. But they would regard, I assume, your method of looking at individual books as being basically products of their time and place as fundamentally misguided because you're not actually engaging with the Bible. You're engaging with the book of Genesis, right? By engaging with the book of Genesis, you're not engaging with the Bible, because you're not reading it in the context that someone who is looking at the book holistically would read it in, right? So they have a point when it comes to like the hermeneutics where you would like come to interpretations of allegories in the text.
Internally,
right?
Perhaps.
Internally. But when it comes to like anything that has to do with interpreting the text as the author may have actually wanted it to be interpreted, they have no interest in that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that is the case. So continuing on then. Then in that day they will remember me, saying from tribe to tribe, even each man to his neighbor, is this not that which was made known to us in the prophecies by Moses, who suffered many things in Egypt and at the Red Sea and in the wilderness for 40 years, when he solemnly called heaven and earth as witnesses against us, that we should not transgress God's commandments, of which he had become the mediator for us? Yeah, everyone was saying that. These things have come upon us since that time. Since that time are according to his admonition declared to us at that time. And those words have been confirmed even to our being led as captives in the land of the east. And they will be as slaves for about 77 years. Now, of course, this is about the exile. According to Jeremiah, the exile was to last 70 years. Daniel 9 interprets this to mean 70 weeks of years. The background of the number here is unknown, but apocalyptic numerology often defies precise interpretation.
Yeah, it's numerology. They're referring to
completeness.
Until
it's complete.
Until the time of their slavery is over.
Yeah,
basically,
yes.
Is what they're saying.
Yes, exactly that. I'm going to hand it off to you. Yeah. So we got 2 more chapters to go.
let me tell you all about the Testament of Moses here. Right? They've just gone over the most significant thing that happens in the Old Testament.
Yep. Literally the most significant thing.
I mean, after Genesis.
No, the most significant.
I mean, the creation of the universe.
The most significant
is
thing
pretty significant.
that has happened in the history of Judaism as a religion, as a faith. That is the most critical point.
Right.
We would not have modern day Judaism if it was not for the exile.
Right. But the single most important thing in biblical literalism
Sure.
is the creation of the universe.
Sure.
So that gets priority. But yes, the exile, single most important thing. Then one who is over them will come upon the scene. This is chapter 4.
Oh my God.
And he will stretch forth his hands and bow his knees and pray for them, saying, Lord of all, King on the lofty throne, you who rules the world, who has willed that this people be for you a chosen people, yea, who has willed to be called their God according to the covenant which you made with their fathers, yet they with their wives and children have gone as captives into a foreign land, surrounded by the gates of strangers where there's great majesty. Have regard for them and have compassion for them, O heavenly Lord. The one over them is probably Daniel. Though Ezra has also been suggested, I'm going to concur with Ezra.
Ezra would make more sense.
This looks and sounds like Ezra literally brings up.
Right, because he's literally the one like, hey, we're going to get the people back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he specifically names the wives and children who are a topic of Ezra Nehemiah.
Right, yeah.
In a very unfortunate way.
In like, ugh.
Like
really, really gross way in Ezra and Nehemiah.
Pretty horrible. Then God will remember them because of the covenant which he made with their fathers, and he will openly show his compassion. And in those times, he will inspire a king to have pity on them and send them home to their own land.
Cyrus.
Obviously, Cyrus.
Yeah.
Then some parts of the tribes will arise and come to their appointed place, and they will strongly build its walls. Literally, they will build a palisade, restoring the place. This is another attempt to render a Semitic original.
So back to Jerusalem, okay.
Mm-hmm. Now the two tribes will remain steadfast in their former faith, sorrowful and sighing, because they will not be able to offer sacrifices to the Lord of their fathers. But the 10 tribes will grow and spread out among the nations during the time of their captivity.
Okay, so the diaspora, all right.
Mm-hmm. So a couple of things here. First of all, former is more properly translated given, where it says their former faith. It says former is more properly translated as given, but it's hardly changing. It would hardly change the meaning. The crucial issue is whether the author rejects all sacrifice in the second temple or deplores the conditions of the second temple as compared with the first. That the situation in the second temple was deplored in works of the period is clear. See for reference 1st Enoch 89:73, 2nd Baruch 68, 5-6, and many instances from Qumran and the Psalm Solomon. The evidence in the Testament of Moses does not permit a definitive interpretation. That the second temple was considered inferior to the first is a common theme in both biblical and extra-biblical writings, and that the Testament of Moses asserts more than this is not likely. And where it says, but the 10 tribes will grow and spread out among the nations during the time of their captivity, the Latin does not make sense, and the translation is an educated guess based on several emendations. So maybe we have a Latin learner here. You know, have you ever considered that maybe when certain scribes were
when they were teaching languages, they would have them write like texts like this, like rewrite them.
Yeah. And so maybe this person has a copy of the Testament of Moses. They're copying it over into Latin, and that's why it's all like jumbled. And they're just practicing. It's not necessarily maybe they keep it as a keepsake,
Maybe.
right?
Yeah.
Many such instances, I'm sure. Anyways, that's the end of chapter 4. Now into chapter 5.
Final chapter of the day.
Yes. And when the times of exposure come near and the punishment arises through kings who, though sharing their crimes, yet punish them, then they themselves will be divided as to the truth. Consequently, the word was fulfilled that they will avoid justice and approach iniquity, and they will pollute the house of their worship with the customs of the nations, and they will play the harlot after foreign gods.
Oh, yeah, I love playing the harlot stuff.
It could be a reference to the abomination of desolation.
Right, yeah, that's what I was thinking, yeah.
Now, chapter 5 probably refers to the Hasmonean period. The negative attitude towards the Hasmoneans is also found in Qumran.
Yeah,
but this need not mean that the testimony of Moses and the Qumran literature emanate from the same group.
Right, yeah, they could just be both talking about them.
There are many parallels, though. But these should be attributed to a common situation rather than a common source.
Yeah. I could see that.
Yeah. And they themselves will be divided as the truth. Consequently, the word was fulfilled that they will avoid justice and approach iniquity. Okay. For they will not follow the truth of God, but certain of them will pollute the high altar by 4 to 6 letters are lost.
Damn. Okay.
The offerings which they place before the Lord. They are not truly priests at all, but slaves. Yea, sons of slaves.
Well,
like Christians.
Okay, so this sounds like
claim.
This sounds like
this charge was made against John Hyrcanus. Josephus, Antiquities of the Jews, 13:10:5. Pull it out.
Okay, Josephus. Was it? Let's see.
Antiquities of the Jews, 13:10:5. They are not truly priests at all, but slaves, yea, sons of slaves. Apparently, it's about John Hyrcanus when Josephus says it. So this could be just a thoroughly Hasmonean.
13:10:5. So the section is, 13:10. Okay, how upon the quarrel between Antiochus Agrippus and Antiochus Cyzicenus about the kingdom, Hyrcanus took Samaria and utterly demolished it, and how Hyrcanus joined himself to the sect of the Sadducees and left that of the Pharisees. So in 5, let's see. However, this preposterous state of affairs moved the Jews to envy Hyrcanus, but they were the worst disposed to him. But they that were the worst disposed to him were the Pharisees, who are one of these sects of the Jews. Hold on, I'm looking for this. It's kind of the temple issue here. Section's not super long, but it looks like now Hyrcanus was a disciple of theirs, and when he once invited them to a feast and entered them very kindly, when he saw them in good humor, he began to say to them that they knew he was desirous to be a righteous man, and to do all things whereby he might please God, which was the profession of the Pharisees also. However, he desired that if they observed him offending in any point and going out of the right way, they would call him back and correct him, on which occasion they attested to his being entirely virtuous, with which commendation he was well pleased. But still, there was one of his guests there, whose name was Eliezer, a man of ill temper and delighting in seditious practices. This man said, "Since thou desirest to know the truth, if thou wilt be righteous in earnest, lay down the high priesthood and content thyself with the civil government of the people." And when he desired to know for what cause he ought to lay down the high priesthood, the other replied, we have heard it from old men that thy mother had been a captive under the reign of Antiochus Epiphanes. This story was false, and Hyrcanus was provoked against him, and all the Pharisees had a very great indignation against him.
So his mother was his mother was a slave, is what he's saying.
I suppose. Yeah.
So I guess that was there. Let me continue on. For those who are the leaders, their teachers in those times will become admirers of avaricious persons, accepting polluted offerings. They will sell justice by accepting bribes.
Justice for sale.
Literally atonement fees.
Ah.
Therefore, their city, literally colony, and the full extent of their dwelling places, literally bounds of their habitation, this is another clear Semitism, will be filled with crimes and iniquities, for they will have in their midst judges who will act with impiety toward the Lord and will judge just as they please. This verse contains an obvious lengthy dittography.
So it's literally a duplication of another line. Okay.
Translation represents a plausible reconstruction. So that's what's given there. And that you got to do the bookmark.
Yep.
Because that's the end of the reading for today. So what do you think so far of the Testament of Moses? I think it reads a lot like a typical apocalypse that we would run into in something like the animal apocalypse, but it's obviously Moses has already received the Torah and has delivered the Torah. So what he's doing now, he's delivering the prophecies, right?
Well, everything is going to happen before.
He's already said everything that's happened because he gave him the Torah. It starts with the beginning of creation. Yeah. So now he's saying everything that's going to happen. And it presents itself in almost exactly the same way as the animal apocalypse and First Enoch. Of course, they don't have them as animals, but it's just a very clear, we're going through the history of Israel in order to present some kind of perspective on it, right? So that's what we're getting so far. There hasn't been a lot.
Yeah, nothing really. Yeah.
There were some interesting theological points that don't make sense.
Like in the very beginning.
Yeah. And probably a lot of it has to do with the fact that the translation is a mess.
Yeah. Translation.
The translation
of a translation.
The translation that we have is a speculative translation based off of a messy translation of something that might have been a translation.
Right, yeah.
Wow.
Like it's not great. But surprisingly, it isn't completely incomprehensible.
Yeah.
So there's that.
We're doing a good job.
I would say that so far it's not as interesting as something as the gospel of truth.
Definitely not. It's stuff we've heard before in condensed form and also in the form of a revelation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, it's a good refresher, though, because it's been a while since we read Kings.
True. Been a while since we talked about John Hyrcanus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think the last time we talked about him was in the Maccabees episodes.
Yes.
I think. Yeah. Either way.
One of these days, you know what you should do, Lawrence?
What's that?
You just skip the whole academic thing. Here's what you do. You put together like a small course, right? And plenty of people have this kind of thing available. Private videos, right? Private videos that you have links to on a website. That, look at my biblical history course. And just say at the end of the videos, if you would like a very in-depth understanding of this issue, I speak about it in my course. You can get that by going to the link in the description. And all you have to do is what you're already doing, but you can get paid more money for it. So I'm encouraging that. I'm encouraging you to put together a course for Atheist Sunday School so that our students can justifiably say their class rank when they...
I see.
You know what?
I see.
You can all use all this shit we've done before, too, as
That
material.
is also true.
So, congratulations.
There have to be assignments.
This is already a school.
Yeah, there
Well,
has to
this
be
one's not.
It's
assignments.
just more
So-
organized. This is just Apocrypha.
So here,
I can play all the stupid sound effects I want on this show because
Right.
this is just Apocrypha, so I can do
what
that.
what I want you to do is like ask him to write like essays and stuff, and then you have to grade them.
How
But
bad was that?
but you'll charge them.
Bad.
You'll charge them a lot of money, so it'll justify taking the time to grade them.
Wow.
You don't have to pay a lot of attention while grading. Do the typical thing that teachers do, and just like use ChatGPT.
I'll do the grading.
No.
I'll do the grading.
Not going to use ChatGPT.
I can do grading. I'm good at metrics and I'm good at doing weird information science.
But you're
shit.
going to have to read it.
No, I'm going to.
Oh, that's
create-
right. He's going to put it through the text to speech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. No, reading's fine. I don't have a problem with reading. The more of my concern would be that it's a fair grading scale and unbiased.
Yeah.
You know what I think, Lawrence? I think that you're writing a book
And
right
you
now,
failed.
which has been edited by me, and I
Oh,
expect
right.
to see
You
my
literally
name on
put
the
down
cover.
one change.
Yeah, I made a semicolon. That's an edit.
Yeah.
It is an edit.
Yeah.
I-
You know, just
I-
for that, I'm going to take it out.
No way, you can't find it. I bet you won't even be able
just
to
gonna-
figure
I'm
out where it was.
I'm literally just going to search, like Control F, semicolon, and that's going to be the only one there.
But you shouldn't, because semicolons are great. And in addition to that, you should take this book. You should put together a course based on it. You should have the book be the textbook for the course. And you should sell both the book and the course.
And the course, wow, that'd be a dick move.
It's not a dick move. It's just standard capitalization of your assets and knowledge.
And? Well, either way, like, I don't know about the whole course thing. I'll probably do that once, I actually become a professor.
No,
I'll
if
have
you
a
do it
course.
when you're a professor, you'll make much less money doing it and have much
Potentially.
less influence.
Or a stable job. But
It's not even going to be stable.
it might be stable. It might be.
Might be is a big thing. Let's talk about academics here. Academics have the most unstable jobs.
yeah.
They are in constant competition with each other. I've talked to academics who are like, yeah, man, I just like constantly churn out bullshit papers that I don't care about and that I know nobody's ever going to care about, because if I don't, they're going to fire me from my job, right? So it's not necessarily a good position to be in. And, there's all sorts of... Jackson Crawford put out a video where he was talking about how he was like literally getting threatened by the head of his
Which
department.
is crazy.
And
I feel like that's probably an incredibly rare thing.
I am guessing that it's probably pretty rare, but I'm guessing that there's also some amount of social climbers who
Right.
will be attracted to a highly prestigious position and may not be the most ethical people out there, and may be willing to do whatever work is necessary in order to put themselves in a position of relative authority over some group of people, right? So it is not unreasonable to think that some people who hold some of these positions are going to be problematic. It's not necessarily the case that the only academic position that you get into, because it's the only one open and thousands of other people are also applying to the same thing.
Right.
And you have to move to like a rinky-dink town in the middle of Alaska where you are only able to get fresh food once every 6 months, right? It's not necessarily the case that the position that you happen to get is going to be one where everyone's going to be nice, right?
Sure, yeah.
And then once you're in that position, what are you going to do? You're going to quit? You're going to find a
quit.
different position
I love
somewhere
quitting.
else? You just moved, right?
Quitting's fun.
Well, that's academia. That's my opinion on academia. I would
Fair
never
enough.
do it. It sounds miserable.
Yeah,
And all the professors.
I think that there's several things above academics that make academics look like fools. You could just go with, there's an upper echelon of some other knowledgeable field of people. It may be experts outside of academia, in my opinion. And then you would have like, I don't know, snobs.
Yeah, definitely a lot of those.
Yeah.
It seems like that's a shifting tide,
But
though.
they also seem to do well. They seem to do a lot better than academics because they're, I don't know, more morally compromised. I have no idea. And then you've got people like Eminence Grise, who are people who aren't at all in the field, but have such influence over the field despite that it does not matter whether they are in the field or not. And then, of course, you've got Eminence and Shadow, which I won't talk about.
But, like, Lawrence...
But they're pretty low on the ladder, man. They're not high on the ladder.
Think about the class sizes that you have in your religious studies classes.
They're pretty small.
How many people would you say?
Well, the thing is, in the religious studies courses that, like, don't count for, like, classics or something, then they are, like, 6-7 people.
Yeah, so, like, 6-7 people. How many people do you think that your religious studies department can provide for?
I don't know, not much, because I think there's only 2 people in the two authority figures in the department. 2 authority figures in the department, and that means that they look at what the department is doing for the university. They come to the conclusion that they can only justify giving so many resources to that department. And so they only have like 2 people in there. Right.
Now, what happens when you have 6 or 7 people every year graduating, and every single one of them in the religious studies department
Applies to that
wants to get a PhD in religious studies and teach in a university, when none of the universities can afford to have more than 1 or 2 people in there, and nobody's interested in taking the classes besides these small groups of people.
Yeah, unfortunate.
It's not feasible. It's not a system that can support itself within a market economy. Right? It's just not possible. There's not the demand for the positions that people want. Or there is the demand, but there's not the supply for the positions that people want. And the professors that I've talked to, they don't get paid well.
No.
Yeah, that's true. But at least the thing is that they usually get paid like enough to survive, which is all I need.
Is a research professor, if you're going to be any sort of thing where you teach one class, people know who you are, you're well known, you get paid to be there, and you get to do your research. That's what you want.
But
the thing is usually,
but in order to do that, they'll want you churning out papers every month at least.
You should anyways. You want to do that. That's what you want to do.
Yeah.
I don't see how you get to be left alone, teach one class a week. Maybe it's a big lecture, and you tell people, okay, just pay attention to this, and then they do. I mean, you need to have a reputation outside of academia that's bigger than your career in order to get your career off the ground, if you care.
I'm totally cool with like writing a lot of papers and stuff, but I usually like doing that at my own pace, right? So if they have like some weird standard.
That's why you need to be well known, because then they'll give you the benefit of the doubt, and they'll go, we care more about the quality of his papers than the quantity.
Right, yeah. So I'm
they're never going to care more about the quality of his papers.
You're already on this track. This is
I know
more likely to happen than you think because of, this and other things you do.
Sure, yeah.
And the way that the Academy thinks about it, they don't care about the prestige of having you there because you wrote some great stuff, because there's a lot of prestige that they can get from a lot of people who have written great stuff. They care about the quantity of things that you're putting out so that you can represent the university within their sphere.
For that one, I feel like every university would be a little different, at least.
Well, maybe, but it's still not. If you have like Harvard, right? Harvard can have its pick of the best scholars out there, right? So if you can have your pick of the best scholars out there, why wouldn't you go with the one who is the most prolific as well.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It
would make more people go to that school to learn from them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they would make more money overall by just going to the most famous one.
Yeah. And why would you hire a less famous one when you have the opportunity to hire a more famous one who's going to attract more people in?
Right. Yeah.
Right. This is exactly why I said, yeah, whatever. You know,
build that name first.
Perhaps we'll do some touring at some point and go to some conventions, and
that's what I want to do. I want to definitely get onto like the conference speaking circuit, like the stuff that kind of stuff that Arn does. Like I want to do that, but the thing is, I have to get important enough for people to want me to do these things. Maybe one day.
You're really close, if not already there. No,
I've been invited to some local things.
Shit, I'm already there, and people have no idea who the hell I am.
I've been invited to some local things, but that's just a local thing.
Look, listen, this is my expert 2-step process that's going to guaranteed get you there. Step one, right? Step one, do the course thing.
Advice, man.
You know, finish your book, do the course.
Right, yeah.
You'll get people, and you'll get money from it that you'll be able to use to expand what you're doing.
Sure.
Second, go on modern day debate. You know, Arn Ra gets some views on his videos. Don't get me wrong. He also appears in every single debate that he can possibly appear in.
Lawrence,
a lot of the reason that he has an audience is because he goes every single opportunity he appears on some other platform.
I've seen, because the thing is, I just know that if it's going to be about, first of all, topic matters, right? But at the same time, I don't really. That's not the kind of medium I want to be a part of. Like that kind of polemical medium.
Like the problem is that the medium that you want to be a part of doesn't have much of an audience.
Also,
it never will. Even in academia, it doesn't have much of an audience.
You're looking at this from such a limited scope. You define how you act in that medium.
Yes, I know I could do that,
and
the thing is, I know I'm not going to get that back.
That's okay.
That's what's annoying.
Well, life.
Right, which is why I'm not going to do that.
You're looking at it from the perspective of someone who has to engage with some person who's not very smart for an hour.
Sure,
right?
Yeah.
It's like an annoying experience. You just make your case as strongly as you can, which you very clearly can do because you're very thoroughly well read on the subject.
Any of us can.
And from there, all you have to do is basically ignore what they say. You're talking to the audience. You're not talking to them, right? They're not trying to engage you either, right? They're trying to talk to the audience. They're trying to talk past you. So what you have to do is talk past them, make your case, keep it very factual. The audience comes to the conclusion that you're right. You don't have to convince the other person.
Right. No, I know you're not trying to convince the other person. Because that almost never gonna happen.
Well, I think we just convinced you. All right, let's thank you for watching, everyone.
Yeah, that is true. Thanks for watching.
We're not doing any shilling anymore because shilling is for plebs.
No, definitely not shilling. Shilling's bad. You definitely shouldn't.
Don't like the video. Don't subscribe. Don't share it with your friends. And especially
don't
your neighbors.
Don't become a member because you definitely don't want those amazing new badges. So
you gotta work towards
see you on Sunday.
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 Bye.